when we divide fractions, it's similar to multiplying fractions. There's one thing that's very important. Make sure that mixed fractions are always turned into improper fractions. And that's like the very first thing you do is turn mixed fractions into improper fractions. Now, the first the first four examples we do don't even have mixed numbers in them. But for the last two examples, that highlighted part is so critical. So how do we go ahead and do 3 divided by 2/5? Like, what do we do? Well, what's that?
3 divided by 5?
No. Good guess, but no. How many times 2/5 goes into 3? Cool. What's the answer? So let's think about 2/5. We know what 2/5, we know what 2/5 is. How many times does 2/5 go into 3? What do you think? 5, 6, and then I'm going to do something kind of funny. I'm going to say that's 7 because I'm taking 2 pieces, and so I've got and a half. So the answer looks like it's 7 and a half. So Janae's estimate of 9 was pretty good. Do we like that? We see how visually we see it's going to be 7 and a half, right? That's what we see. So now that's how we can do it with a picture. Now we're not going to do it with a picture. I mean, you're welcome to use pictures, by the way, but we want a way of doing this that's beyond that. So how do we do this? And so the way to do this is, so how are dividing and multiplying related? How are dividing and multiplying related? They're opposites, okay? So if we're dividing by 2/5 or 2/5, then what we can do is we can change the sign to multiplication and we can flip the fraction upside down, 5/2. Please note that the first number or first fraction does not change, but the second fraction goes upside down. So 3 times 5/2, and remember 3 is 3/1. So what's 3 times 5/2? 15/2. How many times does 2 go into 15? 7 times. How much is left over? 1. So it's 7.5. Remember when we did it with pictures? What answer did we get when we did it with a picture? 7.5. So this is the why the picture. This is connects the picture to that, but we see the answer is 7.5. So again, multiplying and dividing are opposite operations. So change the sign to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction. Not the first fraction, not both fractions, the second fraction. And then after you flip it, multiply it. Now, I've taught for a couple of years, and what sometimes people try to do is they try to do the flipping and the multiplying in one step, and they make mistakes. Don't do that. Write it out as a multiplication question after and flipping it at the same time, and then do the multiplying. If you try and do them all at once, you will probably make a mistake, so don't do that. Yes, Bentley.
What are those little dots?
All right, let's do the next question. So again, the first thing we do is we change the sign to multiplication, and we flip the second number. So if we flip 4, what do we get? Nope. 1/4, because 4 is the same thing as 4/1. If we flip it, we get 1/4, and then we go and we multiply top times top, bottom times bottom. So what do we get when we do that? 5/32. 5 and 32 share no factors in common, so we're done. It's 5/32, that's it, okay? We can't simplify. If we get to a question, though, and we can simplify, of course, we have to simplify. All right, next question. The first question so far that has fraction divided by a fraction. Here we go, 3/4 divided by 2/7. So I change this into a multiplication question what's my multiplication question going to be?
3/4 and 7/2.
7/2? Sure. So once we do that, then after we set that up, we know it's top times top, bottom times bottom. So what do we get?
21/8.
21/8. Hey, that's an improper fraction, so let's turn it into a mixed fraction. How many 8s go into 21? 2. So it's going to be 2. And how many 8s? 5. Yes,
Why don't you flip the first one?
because we're dividing by, see here, the reason why is when we add or multiply, order doesn't matter. But when we subtract or divide, order matters. Because we are dividing by the second number. That's why. Okay? We're dividing by the second number. So if we change the operation, we have to change the second number.
You said we changed it to a multiplication
Right.
question, not a minus or a divide. So
Correct.
still-
But my point is that when we subtract or divide, order matters. Like if I try and go 100 minus 2, that's different than 2 minus 100. And the same is true when we divide. Multiplying and adding, order doesn't matter. But dividing it does. So that's why we end up doing it with the second number. Because we're dividing by that number. Okay, next question. 2/5 divided by 7/10. What would that be as, how would we rewrite that?
2/5 times 10/7.
2/5 times 10/7. Great, and what do we get?
20/35.
20/35. 2 times 10 is 20. 5 times 7 is 35. That can be simplified. What can it be simplified to?
4/7.
4/7. By dividing both the top and bottom by 5.
Why do we flip it again? Just because it's kind of.
Because we're changing the type of question it is. It's not a division question, it's a multiplication question.
You have to change it?
Yes. I mean, I guess technically no, but only if it works out
You'd
nicely.
have to do more work if you didn't know.
Well, way more work. This is the much easier way. You can get a very friendly question, and in that case, you might not have to do it. Let me give you an example of a friendly question that you might get. And these would not be very common, but you might see them once in a while. So let me kick it off here. This is not on your page. This is a bonus question because you asked for it. Here you go. So if you had something like, I don't know, let's say 9/10 divided by, oopsies, that's not divided by 3/5. Okay? 9/10 divided by 3/5. Now, I want you to look at something very carefully here, okay? I can go ahead and divide 9 by 3. What's 9 divided by 3? 3. Okay? And I can go ahead and I can divide 10 by 5. What's 10 divided by 5? 2. And I get 3/2, which is 1 1/2. But for this to work nicely, the second top number has to go into the first top number, and the second bottom number has to go into the first bottom number. If you look at the questions we've done so far, is that always the case? No. So that's why, like, you could totally do it like this if the numbers are friendly. The numbers will not be friendly like this very often. They'll be friendly like this occasionally, but not very often. So if we look at the last question we did, can we figure out nicely how many 7s go into 2? No. We can, though. We can figure out how many 10s go into 5. It's a half. It's 0.5. That's not bad. But figuring out how many 7s go into 2, that's just nasty. That's why we can't really do that bonus method very often, but we certainly can do it. All right. Two more, yes?
When I'm doing that,
So let's take a look at a mixed number. Let's take a look at 2.5 divided by 10. So before we change the question into a multiplication question, we should take a mixed number and turn it into an improper fraction. So what would 2.5 be as an improper fraction?
5/2.
Very good. 5 over 2 divided by 10. Okay. Now, and I know some of you might be like, well, why can't they change it right away? The issue becomes, if you start trying to do too much at once, you're going to run into issues. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the question to a multiplication question. What am I multiplying 5 over 2 by? No, 1/10. And a couple of you have made this, it's a very easy mistake to make. If you see a whole number, you got to think of the whole number over 1. Because when you flip it, if you don't think of it as over 1, if you flip it, you think it's still the whole number. But it's 1 over 10. So we're multiplying this by 1 over 10. And now, what Donna said earlier was, once we have a multiplication question, can we simplify this? And yes, we can. So if we wanted to, we could take 5 and 10 and divide them both by what?
5.
Correct. So how many 5s go into 5?
1.
And how many 5s go into 10?
2.
Good. Now if we go ahead and multiply, what do we get? 1 over
4.
Very good. The answer is 1 over 4. That's it. It's 1/4. Okay? And it's up to you. You don't have to, if the numbers aren't so bad here, you can wait to the end to simplify. Certainly you can do that. Or you can simplify here. You're simplifying somewhere. You can choose where you want to simplify. You can simplify before you do the multiplying or afterwards. But if the numbers get a little crazy, you might want to simplify before you multiply. And we got one question left to do. 6 2/3 is an improper fraction. What do you have, Caden?
Me?
Yep.
You do 6 and you do it a different way, or is it half?
No.
Okay.
20 over 3. And what's 1 1/4 is an improper fraction? 5/4. Good. Now, so the first step is we change it to an improper fraction. And in this case, we're changing 2 of them to improper fractions. Then we change it to a multiplication question. So the first fraction is the same. The second fraction flips upside down, so it becomes what? 4/5. Now, what are you going to do next, Janae?
Simplify 20 and 5.
Great. So you're going to take a page out of Donna's book. You're going to simplify the 20 and the 5. And you're going to divide them both by what?
5.
Super. So if you divide them both by 5, what does the 20 become?
4.
And what does the 5 become?
1
Cool.
or 2.
Now, top times top, bottom times bottom, what do you get? 16 over 3. And what is that simplified? 5 and 1/3. Okay, so to be perfectly honest, these questions are pretty much identical to multiplying fractions, except there's one key difference. You have to change it to a multiplication question and flip the second number. Okay? Other than that, these questions and how we treat them and how we work with them are the exact same as the multiplication questions.
What are those 3 numbers?